Hello. Just turning all my sound down, so hopefully we don't get any feedback. And welcome. So I think I'm in the right place. I've got everything open. I can see that there are a few people watching already. Excellent. Hello, Barb. I'm so glad you're here. I'm well, how are you? And Brenda, my two big cheerleaders, Barb and Brenda. Thank you for coming along. It really means a lot to have people say hello when you first come in. Makes me feel sort of confident already, although today is going to be a bit of a strange day. Hello, Sharon. So Sharon is my little spanner. And good morning, Diane. Oh, it's lovely to see you here too. Yeah, if you have any questions, and I happen to be totally away in my crafting world here, Sharon will hopefully be able to help you, or at least send me a message or something. But yes, today I've got a lot on at the moment, and so I'm a little disorganized. I have a lot of ideas floating around in my head for what I'd like to do. Let's see how they all come together. I'll try and keep an eye on comments because I'm going to ask for your advice as we go. I've sort of half done things and tried to prep some stuff, but I haven't actually made a card. So whatever is out here on my desk is what we're going to use. And no excuses. I'm not allowed to run away and get anything else. I think I have enough to successfully make a card. We are creating for the Colour Inkspiration Challenge number 198. So let's have a look at that one. I think we're going to have a look at that one. Yeah, there we go. So this one is Pool Party, Coastal Cabana, Real Red, and Very Vanilla. An interesting combination. It is obviously a Christmas theme. I don't generally make a lot of Christmas cards. So as most of you know, I'm very bad at sending them out. So we will not be creating Christmas today, but we will be using those colours. While I've got you on different screens, we'll quickly go to upcoming classes. So all our October classes in person are done. We do have one coming up on the Saturday, the 8th of November. That is the Lights of Aurora Suite class with Fiona Fernandez. So that one is the 8th of November. It's online, it's via Zoom, via YouTube, and we've finally, let's have a look here, got our samples up in a little graphic. So we are making 4 cards on the day. Can I just say they are very interesting cards. I love them. I wasn't too sure about this suite, but I am absolutely loving creating with it. Love all those scene type cards. So hello Sharon, how are you? So that's what we will be using for this class on the 8th. It's Saturday. It runs from, in Australia, it's mid-morning to mid-afternoon, so over the lunchtime, but we do have breaks in between. So if you have something pre-prepared to snack on, we do have little breaks in between the class, in between the 4 projects. There's a Facebook page associated with it, and we do 2 bonus projects in the week ahead of the class, and we discuss what other things you might be able to use if you don't have this particular suite. Although the Lights of it does suit this perfectly, but there are other sets with tree dies and bits and pieces in it, and the sentiment, the stamp set that goes with this is only sentiment. So hello Kerry, how are you? It is easy to substitute sentiments and just find another scenic type. There are quite a few different scenic type dies that we've had in the past that you could possibly use instead of the actual Lights of Aurora, but once you register, you'll get access to the Facebook page, and we can discuss all that and go through it before class day. What else? Oh, of course, the joining offer is still running today and tomorrow here in Australia. So if you haven't, but you are thinking about it, jump in and get it done. Try not to leave it to the very last minute, because everybody leaves it to the very last minute and then it may overload the system. So get in a few a little bit early if you can. So all the links to all this are in the comments of the YouTube. There's a link to register for the class, there's a link to join, or if you have your own demonstrator and you've been thinking about it, contact your demonstrator and talk to them about it today, probably so that you can do the join up tomorrow. So this is me being bossy. Yeah, no, it's the best deal ever. So that is it for my marketing. I always feel very proud when I've done that because I never ever used to do it before. But it does feel good to reiterate all these things. So let's jump over to the craft desk quickly. Desktop. See if I've got it set up right. I have. So we've got grid paper today. The colours in the challenge, as you will see, were Coastal Cabana, Pool Party, Real Red, and Very Vanilla. Of course, we don't have an ink for Very Vanilla, so I'm going to use Very Vanilla cardstock. Very Vanilla adds a totally different feel to your project. I'm never bossy, buff. Sometimes I am. You just ask Duncan. No, I try not to be, but using Very Vanilla does add a whole new level of dimension to your card instead of using white. It's a little bonus in this instance because I'm using the Layers of Beauty stamp set, and I'm using this flower, but I'm going to use this little one from the center, and it's got leaves. So Pool Party or Coastal Cabana, when you put them over Very Vanilla, do turn a slightly green shade, so that's a bit of a bonus, isn't it? So we'll be able to do our leaves and have them look somewhat green because they'll be over Very Vanilla. But I have a whole raft of different techniques that I'm trying to incorporate into this one card that I haven't even made yet. So we'll see how we go, but I will ask for advice. At any point, I'm giving myself free rein to stop and not do, I might prepare it, but I don't have to use it on the card front. So, because we may just end up with a whole big mess of stuff. So let's sort of, where will we start? All right, we'll start with our image first up. So I'm going to be stamping onto watercolor paper because I want a watercolor. I did a few different options for coloring of these roses, and I wasn't really happy with any of them. So I've elected to use watercolor paper, which is sort of creamy, not white, so even though it's not Very Vanilla, it's sort of creamy, so that ties in. And I'm going to watercolor them. So I'm not using the pencils because I want to keep the colors true to the color challenge. So we'll just use ink pads and water. So I have set my stamp up in the Stamparatus, and we're only doing this center part because there is a die in the dies. My dies aren't even on magnets yet. There is a die. There's one die to cut out the big image, and there's another die to cut out just that center rose, which is perfect and I haven't used before. So that's what we're going to do today. So I've already done an index image just for ease, and I've got my stamp set up. So we are going to gold emboss. Oh, my paper's stuck to my stamp. Naughty girl didn't clean the stamp when I finished, probably. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. Versamark ink can be a little sticky, so my recommendation is to, and I didn't clean it because I can still see it on the mat, on the plate here. Oops, bad girl. My recommendation is to clean your stamp off with Stampin' Mist or something, whatever you use to clean your stamps normally. I've got a bit of reflection going on from the light, ignore that. Because the Versamark is really, really sticky and it will stick. It will, just water, which is what I normally use, won't cut it. You need some sort of cleaner on it. Not stays on, but Stampin' Mist works well. And I just put a little bit on and clean it off when I'm finished. Normally I didn't this time because I was going to use it again. So we'll need Versamark, which I've got a Versamark ink pad here. Don't let me lose that die. I've got a Fluffer Buddy thing, and I've got some gold embossing powder in my little tray. Now, we are working on watercolour paper. So this is a whole learning curve on its own. But what I generally try and do, the Fluid 100 watercolour paper from Stampin' Up is quite smooth to start with. But it can be just a little tricky because there is some texture in there, which is normal in a watercolour paper. So to make it really smooth for stamping, I've got these strips of, it's old butcher paper, like a tissue, and I put my piece of cardstock in between those two bits of tissue. You could use clean photocopy paper, works as well, and then I run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and it makes it smooth, a lot smoother. So, and a lot easier to stamp on, or in this case, emboss on. So I already have done that and cut some strips. Now the strips are a lot longer than the image, but that's so that I can hold it down steady with my magnet here and not impact the stamp, which is huge. So let's go ahead and do some embossing. So, hello Monica, how are you? No, you're here, Wendy. Welcome. Welcome, and glad that you made it live. No, we're actually creating, so you'll be able to help me input some design bits as I go. So I'm just going to put this center rose, make sure that it's centered up about here. So I just did this index image just in black memento earlier on my polypropylene sheet, just so I didn't have to flip it over all the time to position it. I'm going to hold my card down out of the road, and I'm going to Fluffer Buddy, or what's this thing called? Embossing Buddy, fluff it, and then ink my stamp up with my Versamark. So you only need that centre bit inked. I have my ink pad really juicy. I just re-inked it this morning. I haven't re-inked it for a couple of weeks, but when you're embossing, especially onto watercolour paper, it helps to have a really nice juicy ink pad. So I'm thinking I'm going to use 2 of these, but I have a lot done already, so I'm only going to emboss and colour 1 rose because I have some done already, in case we decide we need more than 1 or 2. So I've given that some pressure, and you probably can't see that, neither can I, so I hope it's on there. Yes, there we go. So that's come up quite well. No, not too many little speckles. Shouldn't say none, because there is always 1 or 2. So we will go ahead and heat that. Now, there is also some little tricks with heating. Oh, we need to do a butterfly, so I'll need to keep this out. I'm going to do a butterfly as well. So I'll just keep my embossing powder out. But the trick to embossing with any colour embossing powder onto your watercolour paper, which is quite absorbent. Sharon will say, stop moving your hands around, Cheryl. We can't focus. Ah, you've logged in, Wendy. So normally, yeah, you have to be logged into YouTube to comment. I won't let you. So I'm going to heat this, but you need to be really quick. And it's not going to be really, really smooth. I'll show you another one of my practice ones in a minute, which was really, really smooth. This isn't going to be really smooth, just because the watercolour paper is a little bit textured. So I'm going to go ahead and do this really quickly. And my tip here is, through experience, is to do the outside first. So get your heat tool nice and hot. And test it on my arm. And then you'll just... I'm trying to put this so you can see it and I can see it. Can you see that turn? Go around the outside. As soon as it starts to turn, move your heat tool around, but do the outside first. And then come in and just quickly do the inside. The heat tool's nice and hot now. As soon as it's changed, move your heat away and check it. See the bits that aren't done. And there we go. It doesn't take long. If you I'll show you what happens when you overwork it. So when I was doing this earlier, I thought it's not smooth enough. I like it to be smooth, because when I did it on the very vanilla card, here's one that I did and didn't like. Where's one? Here. Okay, so this is very vanilla card, and you can see it is, I'm hoping you can see, let me get my light right. You can see that that is quite smooth. It's embossed and it's quite a lovely smooth embossing image. The watercolour is not that smooth. It's a little bit lumpy, and that's just because the paper's not totally smooth. So if you try and keep working it to make it think, oh, it's not quite set yet, I'll just put a little bit more heat on it. This is what happens. Now can you see that the middle of the flower is not gold anymore? There's another one here too. Had a few muck-ups. Here we go. It's lost all its gold in the middle. That one's totally gone, and it's not raised because it's been overheated. And on the watercolor paper, it doesn't take much to overheat it. So you've just got to let it turn gold and then remove the heat. And then you will end up with a nice embossed image. All right, we're going to watercolor that one, but first of all, we'll do our butterfly so we can watercolor it at the same time. I'm going to need another piece of watercolor paper. Let me see what I've got here. Didn't think about that, did I? Have I got any scraps out? Oh, I know what we can use. We'll use this bit. We'll just use this bit here rather than waste it. So I'll need to fluffer buddy that again, and I'll grab I've already got my butterfly on a block. This is out of this stamp set here. The Coneflower Celebration. So it's just this little butterfly. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll fluff a buddy. And we'll stamp. I'm not going to use the Stamparatus because this is a nice, easy one. You've overheated yours? Yeah, no. It depends on, well, you can overheat. Hello, Nicole, how are you? You can overheat on regular cardstock as well, but the watercolor cardstock is particularly prone to overheating just because of the texture of the paper. All right, there's our little butterfly. So we'll dip it into the powder. There it is. So now we will heat that one. Bring my tool back in. All right, so I don't know whether you can see it changing, but there it goes. And so I'm just going to quickly work around, just like that. And see, it's textured. It's not smooth. It's got a real texture to it. That's just the way it goes on that paper. All right. So let's do a quick bit of watercolouring. Now, really, I should clean that. But I'm not going to. I'll do that later. I'll do it later. We haven't got time. Clean that out of the road. And let's do some quick watercolouring. So, we're going to use the colours out of the challenge. So, Real Red, Pool Party, Coastal Cabana. So I'll need all those colours on blocks because I use my blocks as my palette. Pool Party, which we need more of, Coastal Cabana, and Real Red. These blocks certainly get a workout. Now I use a water painter and I've got the one with the very fine brush on it, which I love. I'll grab a little bit of paper towel. And I have, it'll be alright. I won't get too messy, hopefully. But I do want a lid for that embossing powder. There. Okay, we'll start with the lightest colour, which is our pool party, I also have some extra water here. It's just easier to add the water to the blocks with extra water rather than use the water in the brush sometimes. Now Wendy's watching. Wendy's a beautiful watercolor artist, so don't look, Wendy, because I'm certainly not. We're going to do these little leaves first. So I just want a little bit of water. I'm picking some water up from my bottle of water, and I've mixed that ink in, and I'm just going to very quickly add a little bit of watercolor to those leaves. Now this is wet on dry, so it will only blend with as much water as you're putting in. So now that I wanted that to dry, so I haven't really gone to the edges even, I've just added the colour in. I just want that to dry for a minute, so I'm going to move over to my butterfly, and I'm really just going to add a colour all over my butterfly. So the embossing lines, the embossed lines will resist the ink nicely, hopefully help you stay inside the lines. But I just want this to be wet with the pool party, and then we'll come back in and add Coastal Cabana because we want our butterfly to be a brilliant blue. So we just want a little bit of water in the middle. So I use, when I'm watercolouring, I make a gloopy mess in the middle. That's how you watercolour too? Good. I'm very sure about that, Wendy. I've seen your work. You are a very good watercolour artist. So I make a little gloopy mess in the middle and then leave the ink around the outside so that when I want to come in with a darker colour, I've still got lots of ink there to pull from. But I'm just going to, and because this is wet on wet now, so it's spreading. So just let it do its thing. And we'll come back in a minute and tidy that up. So there we've got a very wet blue butterfly. So just put that out of the road for a minute. Clean our brush off. Just gonna oh, what happened then? I lost you. Oh. Nope, we're still there. Oh. Something disappeared on my computer. Oh, it's because I've got my, need to move that, don't I? The heat tool out, and the cord I think must have brushed on them. It's not going to be good if I cut you off because I've got stuff all over my desk. Alright, so now we can go back in. Now this is very gloopy. I'm going to put some more ink on there. So pool party, we want to come back in. We don't need very much, just a little bit. And those leaves should be dry enough now that we can add some more shadow and texture. So I've just got a little bit of water in my brush, and this should be still a little bit wet, but not too wet. So I should be able to add some shading into the leaves. Just to spread that around just a little. I like the different textures, so we'll just leave it like that. We'll leave it, won't we? So there we go. So there we've got our slightly darker pool party leaves. It's good that they're a greeny blue colour. Now we're coming back over here to our butterfly. Now I really don't want to heat this to dry it, so I'm blowing on it. Because otherwise that embossing powder really is going to melt. So we might leave the butterfly and we might move on to our rose. I don't want the red to bleed into the blue, so we'll be very careful when we get to that bit. So again, gloopy mess in the middle. So real red, real red. So let's start in the middle because that's where we're going to want to be the darkest. That's a bit too dark. And then I just tap it, the colour in, and move my brush out so that it gets lighter as it gets to the outside edges. Now I'm running out, so I'm going to pick some more ink up, but I'm going to start in the middle again because I want it to be lighter around the outside edges. Being watercolour paper, it will take quite a bit of water. You just need to be a bit careful that you don't flood it over the outside edges of the embossing. And be careful where it meets up with the blue, because there is a little gap in the embossing there and it will run through if you give it half a chance. Alright. So now we need to add some shading into our rose. So we're going to pick up, it's wet now, so we can pick up a little bit more intense colour and just tap it in, knowing that we are working with water, so you'll be able to blend it out if it's too heavy. So around the inside petals and the base of the outside petals where the shadow would be. This is actually quite fun. Watercolouring is it's also very forgiving because it's watercolour. If you get a few lines or what have you, you can always say it's meant to look like that. Now I've just got a little bit of water. I'm going to tap just a little bit around where I don't want quite so distinct lines here, so I'll just tap them out. Fill in any gaps that I want to. And then if you want the middle to be even darker, you can add a little bit more. This will dry and it will all blend as it dries, so it might look a bit atrocious here, but it will blend out nicely because it's wet. And there's my little rose done. So you're still getting the gold. All right, I've got a lot of red ink there. Let's try and finish off our butterfly. Get rid of all that red. Might as well end up with a purple butterfly. We'll come back in with our Coastal Cabana, and this time I want it to be a bit heavier, so I'll pick it up from the outside. It should still be a little bit wet, but not too much, and I'm able to just add some extra colour into those little segments. Just like that. Oops, went outside the lines. Now if you go outside the lines, while it's still wet, you can sort of try and shove the ink around a little bit. And because it's so light, it just sort of blends it out. You're not going to notice. Now, I've got some watercolour lines here, so I'll just, which you might want. I don't particularly this time, so I'm just going to blend those out a little bit. Take my colour to the edge. There we go. We've got a bit of a textural effect going on there. The body I'm going to do in black. Now I'm going to just pick up that extra water there. And I've got my memento here, and I'll just put a little bit of this on the edge of that block. So black is allowed in the colour. You can use neutrals. So black is fine, and we'll give him a little black. It turns grey. It's watercoloured, but a little darker body. There we go. All right, let's get all these out of the road. I'll put them way over here. Well, not way, but over here. And so there I've got my butterfly and my rose, which we will need to die cut, but we will wait for them to dry. So I'll just clean that brush off, and we'll move on to the next thing. So Layers of Beauty has the dies for that set, has a heap of little leaves, which are gorgeous. They're gorgeous little leaves. I'll show you them when they're die cut. White, they're white. I die cut them out of white, and you'll see why in a minute. So they're gorgeous little leaves. Some of them have little holes in them, but they're quite good. I'll keep these and use them in another project because we're not, oh, well, we may use them today, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Might have too much colour, might need to add some white. So I'll just put them out of the road. But what I did was I took a piece of white card, placed the dies on there and ran it through the die cut machine a couple of times. I'm just reading the comments. So I've made my own little stencil to go on a little piece of card. So I have die cut a small piece of, not die cut, just trimmed out a small piece of Very Vanilla. I didn't want to go too large. I just want this to be a little feature piece. I don't want it, if it's so small, would have been here forever making my stencil with almost running through the machine. So I am going to place this over my piece of card. It is the same height, which was a bad mistake. I should have made it a bit bigger, but it is wider, so the leaves will go off the edge. I'll need them another bit of tape. There's my tape over here. Just down, just hold that in place. Now you could use the ink blending brushes, but this has, the way the dies are, they have all these little flippy up bits, and I just know that I would flip them up. So I'm actually going to use sponge daubers for this. So I've got Pool Party. Oh, we can use those blocks. Don't think they're too watery. Pool Party and Coastal Cabana. So this one was Pool Party, and I'll try not to use where the water is, but you can see where the dots are around the edge. That's pure ink. So I'll try and pick that up from there. I probably need more. And we'll just stipple. So we'll just stipple the colour in over the stencil. I think I'm going to need more blue. With my daubers, I don't mind working straight out of the ink pad for these because I'm generally not scrubbing. I'm just dibbing. Oops, dibba dibba dibba. Now I've used these a couple of times. I used them on white to start with, this stencil, and then realised, oh, I'm supposed to be using Very Vanilla. So I have done another one on Very Vanilla, so that's why the stencil is so well used. So we'll do some in Pool Party and some in... Thank you, Nicole. Yes, I don't know how much longer it will last. And we'll do some in, do this big one in Pool Party. So it's just stipple, stipple, stipple. I don't know what I expect to pour Pool Party. I expect a much stronger colour, and I keep forgetting that it's meant to be a subtle. The Coastal Cabana is meant to be the bright. Little bits keep coming up. What else will we do in, do this one? And I think the rest can be in Coastal Cabana. Dibble, dibble, dibble. In my Coastal Cabana, and I might have enough around the edges of here. Oh, look how dark that is. Probably because there was a bit of water in the ink. This one in Coastal Cabana. This one. I'm going to open up the ink pad. I'm going to run out of ink in there. Now you want the different in shades, so you do want the Coastal Cabana to show its full brightness. There we go, a bit better. And I haven't yet, but if you do go into the, well, we'll in a minute probably, go into one of the Pool Party leaves, because the colours are so similar, it is quite easy to blend it out. So you don't end up with a round mark from the sponge dauber. I'll do one on purpose so that I can show you how easy it is. Here's one. So I've gone over that and made a round mark, so I'm just going to blend that in, and it just looks like you've shaded it then. Let's do a bit of a round mark there. So then, can you see the round mark there? So then just go like that and blend it in. You should just blend the pool party in a bit. Okay. Right, let's see what that looks like, shall we? Let's pick this up. There we go. Now, you can see because I didn't go over the edge, the side images are going nicely over the edge, but the use pool party to add some more at the top and bottom because they sort of don't look finished. So choose one that is on the inside and that doesn't have anything too close to it. Like this little one here, because otherwise it goes over the edge of the next stencil and you have these little lines. There's a small little line there, but we won't really notice that. Just a couple of little extras just to fill in some gaps there. Alright, so that's my little stencil. Nice difference between the pool party and the coastal cabana. A trick to extend the stencil life: spray it with acrylic gloss both sides to waterproof it against the ink. That is a great idea, Nicole. That's a fantastic idea because yes, this did take a few minutes to prepare because I had to run it through with the 4 little dies on it quite a few times. So that's a great idea, spraying with acrylic gloss. Excellent. All right, get rid of these inks now. Now, what next? Okay, let's move on to the really messy bit now. So oh, we could probably die cut these. No, well, yes, they're dry enough. Put that aside, I haven't finished with that yet. Let's grab our dies and die cut these. So we've got the flower, which this is great because I don't know if you noticed, but the lines around the edge don't match the flower. So you know sometimes when you cut something out of the middle you end up with little extended lines which look a bit weird. So they've designed this one really well so that there are no extended lines. There's a little gap between them all, which works really well. So we'll just tape that one down, and then I've got a butterfly die in the Coneflower. There's a die for this butterfly in the Coneflower dies, which is this one. So we'll go ahead and die cut those 2 out. Then as I said, I have done some previously, so I've got extras in case we need them. So I'll just run that through, and I've got it. Fix that. All right. So we will only need 1 butterfly, but I do have some extra roses. I did actually quite a few because I was going to try and make a card and then I didn't get there. So I've got a few roses there that I did earlier. So we've got those. And we'll put these dies back before I lose them. All right, next up. So these are the elements we've got so far. Let's put them over the road because we are going to do some more stenciling, but stenciling with embossing paste. So I pulled out my embossing paste this morning because I haven't used it for a long while and it was dry. And there wasn't a lot left. So I don't know, maybe one of you has a great tip for what to do. I have put a little bit of water in it. There's my stencil brush. And I thought I'm just going to leave it soak and then I'm going to try and mix it up later. But it doesn't look like it's working really well. So it has been soaking for the morning. Oh, it is starting to get a bit soft. So if you have any tips on how to resurrect your dried up embossing paste, it wasn't dry, it was still soft. It wasn't hard, but it was too stiff to use. So I put a little bit of water in the bottom. I'll leave it soak I have, and if I continue to leave it soak, I'm sure I can make it workable. Just need to get some of those lumps out. Or maybe it will be a new look, a really lumpy look. But anyway, it seems to be something's happening there, so I'll just leave it sit. As you can see, there wasn't a lot left, but it does go to show you that you do need to pull out your embossing paste and use it lots, because it will eventually dry up. I think that's just the nature of the beast. So I will pop the lid on that one and keep that one. So I have a brand new one. Brand new ones are gorgeous when they're open because they look like whipped cream in there. Yum yum. So Stampin' Up only have like layering masks at the moment. I don't think they have brought out any new stencils or masks that are just overall patterns. You can make your own, like I have with the leaves, but that took forever because they were so small. So what I have done, I do have a heap of stencils, some Stampin' Up, some non-Stampin' Up out, but they're all out in the container at the moment. But what I did find was some sequin waste. So you can get this in rolls at any craft shop or even at the dollar shop, quite often has them in rolls. This is a very old piece. As you can see, all the colours coming off it. And it has been creased at one stage, which doesn't really work well, but anyway, there's enough on there to work with. I'm going to use a piece of watercolour paper, and I want it to be the size to go on my card front. So I did cut some here. This one will do. So this is what I call my second layer, which is 14 by 9.7 in metric. So whatever your second layer is, you know how you have your first layer. So Sharon says, I just put water in it bit by bit and stir until it comes back together. Oh, so okay, so that will work great. So if I leave that sit until it's for a little while longer, until it's even more creamy, I should be able to make that work. Great, that will be good. Anyway, I've got a new one out for today, and I've got this second measurement layer, and I am going to grab, because this is messy, grab another piece of grid paper here. And I'm going to apply it to my watercolour paper. And the reason I'm using watercolour paper is I'm going to add some colour to it, I think. I do have another one done that has been drying, because this won't dry, and you could dry it with a heat tool. Yeah, that's dry, good. You could dry it with a heat tool, but I've just done another one just a couple of minutes before I came live so that I could colour it. So I'm just going to put this down. It's not the full width, so just run with it. I'm going to randomly apply it. So sequin waste is what you're looking for if you want to find some. You can use it for regular stenciling as well. Just makes a lovely dotty pattern. I don't know if they've got any other patterns in it, but they probably do, because they make all sorts of shaped sequins. I've had this for about 15 years, this piece. You don't need very much because it lasts forever. So what does Carla do? Puts a wet one inside the jar and seals it. Oh, like when it's still fresh, so that it doesn't dry out. Is that what you do, Sharon, to stop it drying out? That's a great idea. Oh, I'll have to say thank you to Kayla. I'll have to try that. All right, so I'll wash that after, but now I've got some lovely dotty texture randomly placed on my thing. It goes off the edge, so we'll just, it's a bit messy at the bottom here. That's right. Ignore the messy bits. We're doing a mixed media card today, so the thing that I love about mixed media is you're allowed to be messy. You have permission to be messy. So a wet one inside there. Maybe that's a good idea, Sharon. Put a plastic under the lid, then seal the bottle in a clip-lock bag. Yes. Strangely enough, Monica, I had this one in a Ziploc bag, the unopened one in a Ziploc bag, but not the new one, not the opened one. It was just sitting out on its own. That was a bit dumb. But anyway, we'll continue to try, but the method, well, the lesson for me is I haven't used my embossing paste for probably a good 6 months. So it was a good little lesson to me to pull it out and use it. So now this one, you can dry it with a heat tool, you just have to be careful it doesn't bubble. I have done one earlier, which is now dry. Yes, nice and dry. You can see my stencil waste is so old, the red was coming off, but thankfully red is part of the challenge, so we're fine. I'm going to put this somewhere to dry, and we'll use this one. Now, usually I have my glass mat out here, but I had taken it off to go and use it in the other room, because those of you who know me know that I'm creating lots of different rooms. So I need something flat. I do have those brown craft mats somewhere, but I don't know where they are at the moment. So I pulled out this tile, which I have floating around it's what I used to use before we had the glass mat for any of my wet techniques. So I just pulled that out. It's a bit well used. Now you could use your ink pads to apply colour to this, but I did pull out ink refills, which are much easier to get an intense colour. So I've got Pool Party and Coastal Cabana, and we're just going to add some drops around the place. This is probably way too much ink, and I'll have to set this aside to use it later. Now you want to add some water. I do have a spritzer, and I'm going to spritz this first so that it does run a little bit. It's mixed media, the lumps won't look out of place. That's exactly right. That's what I reckon. Nothing looks out of place. So I'm just going to spritz this first to give it some wetness. Now I could spritz this, but you know what's going to happen? I know what's going to happen because I did it the other day. Luckily it wasn't in front of my computer, it was on my other craft desk, and I splattered with white, and it wasn't till I looked up and I saw that I had splattered white all the way across the table over everything that was on the table. I was a bit horrified. So I have learnt the hard way to just add some water. This is going to make my water very dirty, but I'll just add it with a paintbrush rather than making everything on my desk splattery. So we'll just add some colour, and I'm going to twist this around. Don't want to mix it too much because I've got Pool Party here and here and some Coastal Cabana in the middle. So we've got lots of water. We've got water on here, we've got water here. We should get a nice watercolour sort of look on top of our embossing paste. Oh, it's coming up. Very nice. So don't mind a few white bits. Ooh, interesting. So do we need any more? No, why not? Let's pick it all up. There, that's a bit better. Right, so that's going to be my background. So the watercolour paper holds the water just a lot better than if I'd used the Very Vanilla. It just holds the colour. And it doesn't, if you use regular cardstock, it sort of grabs the colour and makes funny blotches. So I much prefer to use that. I'll put this away and I'll pick that up with something else later, she says, with a wry smile. Right, now that does need to be dried before we can use it. So I am going to just quickly dry this off. Oops. So bear with me. Now the embossing paste may bubble, but it's okay now because we've already added what we needed to add to it. So just try and dry the ink off to a point where I can add something else to it. Wow, I'm going to be way over time today. It's 12:20 already. But you're all thinking, what on earth is she going to do with all this stuff? Well, I don't quite know. I have an idea, but I don't quite know. We'll just get all the elements out and then we'll put it together and throw away what we don't want. So that's sort of all mushed together, and you don't really know which parts are Coastal Cabana anymore and which parts are Pool Party. But the dots are definitely Pool Party and the background's Coastal Cabana. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now, we want to just pull in, that's dry enough to work with, so let's just pull in some of our different elements and see what we're ending up with here. I probably won't use all of these. I can't remember which is the one I did just now. Let's pick the ones where I've gone out of the lines the least, shall I? We do this one today, I think. So we'll put a couple of roses down. This one I haven't gone out the lines, that's a bit better. Okay, a couple of roses and a butterfly. So how are we going to put these? I don't know, somehow like this. Anyway, we're going to add, got a few more things to add yet. So now if we were normal people, we would just put that together and that would be it. But I'm not a normal person. So anyway, we'll arrange those in a minute somehow on there. Our little butterfly is not standing out enough, so we're going to have to add something else. Now I did think it's all getting very blue, and I have got a very vanilla card base to sort of bring the very vanilla in and tie in with this bit. So that's what it's looking like so far. So we need to add some other bits. So this is the retired elements of text, which will never retire out of my stash because I love it. That's my dogs. Obviously my Stampin Up box has arrived. Sharon. So Sharon Martin, if she's still around. I think my Stampin Up box is coming today. So I'm going to put some text onto this piece. But my thing was, what colour will I use? So now I'm thinking I might introduce a neutral, such as, it's a very big block, such as Coastal Cabana, because if I just keep adding blue, it's all going to mishmash in together. So here's what I pulled out. I pulled out Crumb Cake and Basic Beige ink and this stamp, and I also pulled out some designer series paper. You know, because then if I put that in behind somewhere as a layer, that's going to make my butterfly stand out a little bit more. Something in there like that, just for a little bit of neutral texture. So these two are out of textured something, the textured something pack, and this one's out of Country Lace. This one's textured something, textured notes maybe. Anyway, so I think I'll go with Crumb Cake. Basic Beige is nice and light, but it's very green as well, so let's just go with Crumb Cake, shall we? Okay, let's put some Crumb Cake on here. So we'll need Crumb Cake ink, and I might stamp it off, I think. Oh look, we can practice because I've got another one of these. So if I muck it up, I've got another one that I did earlier. So anyway, nothing worked. Yeah, stamped off. Okay. Won't fit the whole thing, so I could have used the round one and then it would have fitted the whole thing. So the trick is to get this straight. All right, let's see how straight we are. I'm using my grid paper to get that top line straight. Oh, it is pretty straight. Okay. Got blue ink all over my little piece here now. We'll put that at the bottom. Oh, yes, 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 yes. And we'll overlap it a little bit. Try and keep that straight. Yes, I like it. I like it a lot. You know, I was watching something the other day and someone said, I really love it when I do something and it comes together and I think, oh, nice, so clever, I just made that. And I get that feeling every time I stamp something and it comes out well. Like, I can still stamp. After 30 years, I can still stamp. Yay. So yes, so I'm very happy with that. So now we might be able to pull in some of these other browns. This is a nice soft one, but I do quite like the textural elements of these ones. This was pretty nice, maybe these two. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tear a couple of pieces. I might have to make these a bit smaller. Let's go across this way. Oops, wrong way. This way. I should have cut this before I started, shouldn't I? This is like... Alright, well, add a little bit of crumb cake ink to those layers. Now, which one goes best? I think I like this one. I like the texture in that one. No, we'll go with this one. So we'll do the same thing, tear it down to the size you want first, Cheryl. Press and seal is great for seal. I've got some press and seal. That's a good idea. I'll have to pull that out too now. This one might be a bit big. And you know what? This one's going to be too smooth now. You can't see the pattern on that one. Oh, we'll add some crumb cake to it and then you will. Right, got a blending brush here, yes. I'll grab a crumb cake ink and a block. Oh, I've got 1 minute to go. There's no way that I'm going to finish this in 1 minute. Okay, let's add a little bit of crumb cake to these layers. Just mess them up a little bit, shall we? Or this one I might have to be a bit careful on because it's light. And then my stenciled layer, I think it's looking too neat now, so I'm going to have to distress it. That looks better. Let's grab my paper snips and we'll just do a little bit of distressing. Another thing I love, because you can't really do anything wrong, like that little tear there is perfect. And it's going to need a little bit of crumb cake too, I think. Just what's left in the brush, hey? Right. Okay. So this can go... Oh, no, we might add a little bit more to this. Okay, I'll get all these papers over the road. Bring this bit back in, this messy bit. All right, let's clear some space. Let's clear all the things we don't want splatter on out of the road. Now I'm working in front of my computer, so I do have to be a little bit careful. I'm going to add some drama to this now with, I brought out with me some black memento ink refill. Oh no, I can hear you saying, what are you doing? Oops, it's a bit much. You've got a little brush? Those brushes are huge. Here's a little brush. This might work a bit better. Yep. Right. Ooh, will I or won't I? Or will I add white? Yeah, no, let's go black. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lift this up and do this. I do have a splatter box somewhere. Oh, doing this one-handed is going to be tricky. Work with it. I need to balance that somehow. Where's my... I've got a box that I usually use for splatter, but you know, again, that's in the other room. It's just so I don't get anything on the back side of everything. Right. And I'll grab a bone folder. Here we go. How's that? Because I never know when to stop. Look at all that ink that I'll have to use. I'll put it over here in my pile of use it for something else, and I'll dunk everything in it. Oh, black. Bold choice, but I quite like it. Let's put this in here. The white, I think, would have disappeared. All right, now clean your hands off. I'm just going to dry that and then I'll stick it down. And then I won't be able to do anything else to it. It goes funny on the embossing paste. It sort of bleeds out. That's right, because I'll have all the flowers in the middle and the panels. Most of it will be covered. You like that, Brenda? Nothing like taking a risk. I'm not sure what I would have done had I had it been awful. It's mixed media. Nothing's ever awful. All right, I've got my folded Very Vanilla card front. Let's put some glue on there. You really shouldn't do this while this is still hot, because the shape of the paper has been affected by the heat, and then once you glue it on, it could bubble as it cools. But anyway, that's cool. It'll be okay. Now I made it the second layer down so that we could see some of this Very Vanilla, seeing as it's the challenge colour. I'm going to flip this over and just go like that. So that it sticks. Right, now we've got these bits. How am I going to put these on? Something like that. Okay, so we'll just add a little bit of glue to the back. Only a little bit, because I don't mind if these bits sort of flip up a bit. Let's hide the bits that I've got ink on. There, like that. And this bit down here, something like that. And then this bit can go on top like that. Got my text up the right way, yes. I'm not going to mount it up on dimensionals, it's just going to be flat too. And I'm trying to visualise where the centre is. That'll do. Okay. She'll be right, mate. That's exactly right. That's my favourite saying, Sharon. She'll be right. She'll be right. Okay, now this is not sticking. Maybe because of the embossing paste. Just give it a bit more glue there. Right. So now we've just got to do one other element and then I've got to work out where I'm going to put these ones, where I'm going to put everything. But I think something like that might be nice. These leaves are a bit uniform, aren't they? Oh, well, just run with it, Cheryl. Stop fussing. And we just need a sentiment. So you don't really need a sentiment, but we are going to do one. I'll put it up like this, it'll hide that bit where I went outside the lines, little butterfly. And I've got some black cardstock here somewhere. So I'm going to bring the black in with black. Now I've got white embossing powder. Just bear with me while I find that because it'll be over here somewhere. Didn't think to pull that out. Clock. And we will, I thought that I might use a nice small one. So there's this little one in here that says thank you out of the Coneflower celebrations. We'll use that. Nice small one done in white on black. Always a winner. Now we'll do two. Okay, so I muck one up. Oops, stuck my card to the table, to the paper. Okay, we'll see which one's the best. Now I have to move this because it'll get blown away by the heat tool. Now, I do have tweezers somewhere. And they're dealing with all that embossing stuff, but you know, fingers work. Choose the one you like the best, trim it out, hopefully in a nice straight line. Alright, let's see how close we can get here. I'll make this a bit thinner. Now, am I even? Yep, reasonably. Take a bit off this end. Right, let's glue all these elements on, shall we? That looks right like that, doesn't it? So we'll do one flat. We'll do this one flat. And I'll pop the other one up on dimensionals. Oh, being so untidy. That one there like that. This one can go on dimensionals. The butterfly can go flat. Yes. Decisions. I'm not used to making decisions so quickly. Usually when I make a card, the decision, I agonize over every little decision. So I'm really not, this is good for my brain. I'm really not used to doing this. Right, we need some dimensionals. For this flower. Three. If you're playing dimensional bingo today, 3 only. Absolutely unheard of. Can't remember where I had it. It looked good, but I can't quite remember where it was. Anyway, done. And then this little sentiment. I think it can tuck in there. And then if the butterfly falls out of the sky, it won't matter. I'll pop that up on a couple of little tiny dimensionals. Where are they? Here. Don't even know where my take a pic tool is. Don't even know if I've got one. Just use our fingers, shall we? I went and did a class up at well, not a class. Well, it was a class. I did a little session with the ladies at the local nursing home here, and I had everything on the back already, all the dimensionals, all the tape, and all I had to do was pull it off and put the elements together. And once they'd worked out that they could just pull the tape off the back, they did it with everything, and no take your pick tool, no, just fingers. They had a ball. It's pulling the tape off the back and sticking everything on. How's that? Now, it's got these gold elements, so I want some gold somethings. So I don't even know. Does anyone know if we have gold sequins? Like sequins scream mixed media to me, you know. But I don't think we've got any current. Just having a look through. We've got hearts. Don't really want hearts. Just having a look through my little box here, but I don't think we've got current gold sequins. Might be wrong, but I certainly don't have them, so I'll have to pull out some retired ones. So I bought my old sequin box out. It's great fine motor exercises for them. Oh, well, that's good to know. They certainly had a ball. Yeah, they were a bit intimidated at first because I used kits. I used kit cards. And they were a bit intimidated because the kit cards, actually, if you are used to doing your own stamping, the kit cards look really impressive. And I used some old kits that I had sitting around here, and they were like, oh, you can't, we're not going to be able to do that. And then once they realised that I'd done everything and all they had to do was pull the backs off, they were into it. They had all different designs, they laid them out differently. They did such a good job. I was so impressed, and I can't find my take picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try. Another thing they pulled off with their hands was the embellishments, and I did give them all bone folders and little pushy things. This is so crooked, I think. Now that I'm looking at it, we'll ignore that. But I gave them all a bone folder, and I said just push them off, so that, like that. No, not like that. Come back here. Push them off with the bone folder because I didn't want to give them anything sharp. And they but no, they just pull them off with their fingers. These ones are very poppy. Yep, so they, you know, as I said to them, most of them are been around for so long that they would be way better at designing things than I would be. All right, we're done. We are done. Yay, we're done. We're not that far over. So let's have a little look with a clean background, because you know what I'm like. I like a clean background. So there we go. That's my crooked mixed media card. Look at that. Ta-da! I'm just going to go over into my little secret program. Oh, actually it's quite close on the screen. I don't know that you need to be any closer. On my big screen it's quite far away, but with this one it's quite close. So that's it. Lots of gold elements in there. It's got enough wonky stuff that the wonky stuff doesn't matter so much. I really quite like it. So I have had, thank you Brenda, Nicole, and fine motor exercises are also good for brain activity increases. Yeah, I think they have a pretty good routine up at the nursing home, but Duncan's mum's up there and I know she gets very bored, so she really loves it when I come up, and I just usually go up and make cards with her, but we did it with all the ladies this last time and they did really enjoy it, and they all went home and took photos. The ladies took photos and with their cards. It was lovely. It is a very enjoyable process, Nicole, especially because it doesn't seem to matter how much you overload your card, because that's what it's supposed to be, which so suits my style. Look what I've done here. Wow, I must have ink on my fingers or something's not dry. That's right. Someone will understand. Yeah, so it's the one thing I do love about mixed media. You've been playing, while you've been watching. That's great. With gold. Oh, you'll have to show us, Wendy. You'll have to put it up in the team page or even in the VIP page. Wherever you want to put it up. We'd love to see what you've been creating. It's always inspiring to see what everyone else creates. So thank you very much for coming along and giving me the inspiration to get that done this morning. Didn't really ask too many questions in the end. I just went ahead and did my thing. So I will now have to photograph this and get it up in the Colour Inkspiration Challenge. So don't forget, if you want some inspiration, jump over to the page and have a look in the designers album. Some great inspiration there, but there have been so many beautiful cards going up, and you only have to just post it onto the wall. It's super easy. So make sure you jump over there and put your entry in. No pressure, and everyone's so lovely. You'll get lots of great comments. Thank you very much, ladies. Thanks for coming along. I will talk to you all next week or soon. Thanks. Oh, no, wait a minute. I forget to do this. I'm going to say goodbye properly. There we go. Thank you for coming along. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It's been a busy week, so this has been a lovely relax for me today. Hope to see you again soon.